Hello everyone and welcome to today's live. I'm so excited that you're here. This is probably one of my favorite days on the calendar that we have for our live training. So welcome. Come on in, take a seat, get your notebooks out, whatever you're going to be taking notes with, because today we're going to be talking all about all the things, the IEP things that are going to set you up for success for next school year. And so what that looks like might be a little different to every person. I'm going to share some free resources with you. I'm also going to share some paid resources with you, as well as additional trainings that we have on our YouTube channel, and we have some blog posts and just all of the things to kind of help give you a really roundabout, maybe not roundabout, that's not the right word, but a really good just lump of things that you can use to get yourself ready for back to school this year as a special education teacher. I had to make notes for myself so that I didn't forget anything, because there are so many things on our list that I didn't want to forget anything. So let's get started. The first thing I want to share with you as a free resource, so I'm going to go through them in order, or I'm going to try to anyway. So the first set of links you're going to see, whether you're watching this as a replay or live, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or some other social media network, I don't know where your video text is going to be, above or below, but I'm going to share everything in order, or try to do my best to do so. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the IEP Writing Timeline. This is a free resource. You can download it using the links below this training. Add your email, throw it in there, and it's going to get emailed to you along with a PDF that's going to walk you through really how to use this, or what the purpose of the IEP Writing Timeline is. And so what this free resource is so my teaching background, I'm a veteran special education teacher turned IEP coach, so I'm currently an IEP coach. And so in my last class, in my last school year that I taught, I was in the state of Texas. I've taught in 4 or 5 different states, and I'm certified in 6 or 7 or 5, I don't know, I've lost count at this point. But having moved all over and taught in many different states, districts, public schools, charter schools, everybody does things differently. The guts and the core of an IEP are all the same, but a lot of the processes, the IEP writing systems everyone uses, whether you're using, IEP Plus, IEP Writer, whatever it is, they're all different, right? And so I built this IEP Writing Timeline when I was in my last classroom when I was teaching self-contained, because I myself personally was losing my mind trying to keep track of all the things and when they went everywhere and what needs to go home when, and what, just all the paperwork. So that is when I devised this IEP Writing Timeline, and you can mentally edit this to fit your needs more specifically. And so where it starts is 45 days out, you're going to find those common meeting times with your team members. You're going to send out those invitations. You're going to document your attempts. You're going to send out the input forms, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Then you have time to write the student's IEP. You're going to send home that proposed draft IEP, follow up. You're going to confirm the IEP meeting. You're going to have that pre-IEP meeting or a staffing with the asterisk, and that talks more about that inside of this PDF that you'll get with your IEP Writing Timeline. But that's really just meeting with other staff members, meeting with parents before the IEP meeting if you need to kind of get your ducks in a row with the present levels and also those proposed IEP goals, and having all of those chats to really further yourself along when it comes to actually sitting down to the IEP meeting. Then you have printing all your documents. I don't trust technology, especially on IEP meeting days, because I will come in at 8 a.m., have a meeting at noon, and right when I go to print that IEP, the system's gonna be down, the internet's gonna go out, the power's gonna go out, there's gonna be no paper in the printer, the ink's gonna be out, it's just gonna be a hot mess, so I always print it the day before. If you're shaking your head and you're like, yep, been there, we've all been there, I promise. And then you're gonna hold the meeting. And so this is a free download. Again, you can grab it with the link below this training to help you create a system for what needs to go out when, to who, where, and all of the things to help keep you more organized. If there's not one other thing you take away from this training today, I want it to be this. This can truly change your organization for just your caseload, but really your mental sanity as a special education teacher and caseload manager. It really helps you keep everything in line and make sure that you're meeting all of those deadlines and you're in compliance. So that is my first free resource that I want to share with you today. The second one that I want to share with you today, I can't actually show it to you because it is a webinar replay, and it's called IEP Goals 101. It is a previous live training that I did all about IEP goal writing, how to choose IEP goals, what that looks like, all of those things. It's free, it's 1 hour, And then you can sign up for that free replay using the link below this. But we talk all about IEP goals, and that is one of the biggest questions that I get all of the time is IEP goal related. So I wanted to share that with you today. The third thing I want to share with you is one of our top downloaded free resources at the Intentional IEP, and that is this Accommodations and Modifications Breakdown booklet. I love this so much because, and if you follow the Intentional IEP, if you haven't, you'll see that we share these graphics quite frequently, but they're all different. And so what they are is you either have an accommodations or a modification inside of the box, and then on the other side over here, it's going to share different ways that that accommodation or modification might look like for specific students in your classroom. Because you can say in an IEP, a student has read aloud, but really read aloud can look so many different ways. And so why I love this, this free resource here, and I think why it is one of the most downloaded resources at the Intentional IEP is because, well, one, the first page breaks down the difference between accommodation and modification, but two, it gives you accommodation modification ideas, but then when it comes to actually specifying in a child's IEP, it's really important to be as specific as possible. And we know that when it comes to writing IEP goals, right? But we also have to do that when it comes to the supports that we're writing into the IEP for the students. And so you can do this in the present levels. If you're not able to, I know some IEP rating systems just have a drop-down box for the accommodations that you're choosing. And then others, they have pre-written ones that you have to select, or it's a checkbox. Some you can write in the specific accommodation or modification, which is fantastic. You might be limited to the number of characters you can use, but this is a great way to really individualize accommodations and modifications in your classroom. And so it gives you a bunch of different ideas for different accommodations and modifications. So let's just do an example one. Simplify instructions, and then what that might look like. And so you give one or two instructions at a time. You're using visuals for each step. You're showing examples of each step or of the finished product. You have a peer mentor. You're omitting jargon and you're not being too wordy. You're showing a video step-by-step of what is expected. You're using task analysis. You're having a student repeat the instructions to you before beginning, or you're having a student draw a picture for each step or each direction. And so those are all very different, what the student or the support that we're providing to the student or what we're having the student do to get that support, right? So when I say get that support, they're going to draw a picture and then they're going to do that so they know exactly what the steps are. But just putting simplify instructions, not everyone on the IEP team may know what that specifically means. And so this is kind of where it comes into play when, if you've ever worked with, waving my white flag, worked with a general education teacher or another special education teacher, because I've been there as well, that doesn't quite always implement the accommodations and modifications, to put it nicely, or they don't follow the IEP. A lot of times I found it's because they're unsure of what the implementation looks like. And so this is a great way to bridge the gap. You can share this with other team members. You can share this at IEP meetings, share it with parents, and it's just a great way to really build that conversation about individualizing accommodations and modifications. Again, this is a free resource. It's linked below. It's the Accommodation Modification Breakdown Booklet. We also do have a free resource at the Intentional IEP. Sorry, I got something in my eye for a minute. That is an accommodations modification brochure. It pairs perfectly with this. And I'm pretty sure that when you get the email with this download in it, we'll send you a follow-up email to download that brochure as well. So you have this free resource. The last free resource that I want to share with you, my printer didn't want to print it out before this. It was the only one I didn't have printed in the free version. And so I'm going to pull it out of the IEP binder, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But it is the IEP meeting checklist. And so what this is it gives you a checklist for what to do before the IEP meeting, what to do at the IEP meeting, and what to do after the IEP meeting, so you don't forget any of the things that you need to do. It does leave space if you wanted to add specific things to your classroom, to your school, to your district, so that way you don't forget anything. But these are general to-dos that you don't want to forget to do. So for example, before the meeting, you want to send out the prior written notice. That might also come after, depending upon your how your district does things, but you want to send out the invitation. So attempt 1, attempt 2, and attempt 3. You want to notify members of the meeting, get your teacher services input, send out that parent input form. You want to make sure that the services, the OT, the PT, the speech, the APE, whatever it may be, is putting their information in. You're sending home those proposed goals, you're updating the present levels, and all the testing conducted and eligibility is determined. Now there may be, again, other things you can add here for yourself, but this is a free download. It's a black and white version, so it's going to look different than this, but it's the same exact meat and potatoes here in the middle. Again, this is the IEP meeting checklist, and so you can download this below this training. So we've gone through 4 different free resources. They are the top resources that are downloaded within the Intentional IEP and Mrs. D's Corner. So I'm really excited to get to share them with you today. The other resources that I do want to talk to you about, there are a couple. I think there are 4. There's 5 listed, but there's actually 4. Number 3 and 4 are the same. It's just how you want to use them. And so I want to share some paid resources with you. If you've watched any of my other trainings, this resource I want to share with you, which I actually just pulled out that IEP meeting checklist from, should be no surprise to you. It is the IEP binder. This binder is what I use for me to keep track of all of the things and all of my paperwork in one place. This is not my lesson planner. It is very different than my lesson planner. This is my caseload information. This is where all of my team input information or team information is. This is where my contact information is. All of my originals for all of my data sheets, which we're going to get to here in a second. And then just all of like student profiles, everything I need to manage my caseload is going to be in this binder. This is for me. Again, this is not for the students, that there is no student IEP binder information in here. That's something completely separate, which we're not going to go over today, but you can check the YouTube channel here in the Facebook group or here on the Facebook page for that binder organization system. It is linked also at the bottom of this, the text for this video. The organizational binder systems for special education teachers. So if you want to learn more about that, that's there. But this is the first thing that I want to share with you as a paid resource. It is the IEP binder. It's going to help you stay organized. It's something I created for myself. Oh my goodness. I think my 2nd or 3rd year of teaching, I was in Pennsylvania. So I had taught already in Virginia. I had taught already in Delaware. So maybe it was my 4th year teaching, 3rd or 4th. I've lost count at this point. But definitely helps you stay organized and keeps all the things in one place. The next thing I want to share with you, I'm going to pull out of the IEP toolkit, so you're going to see them linked, are the IEP input forms. And if you're not new here, you have heard me talk about these over and over and over again. And so I want to share them with you. So they are linked where you can purchase just the input forms below this training. They're linked there. Or if you want to purchase the IEP toolkit, which has all the IEP writing things in it for you, present levels, progress report comments, IEP writing timeline is in there with an actual Excel spreadsheet, IEP timeline writing calendar. There's so much more in there. You can click the link to learn more about it. But the general education, the teacher, the parent and the student and the para input forms are also linked below as a bundle, and you can grab them. They come in a digital version, they come in a printable version, and they're all editable, so you can change them out if you want to add your own. I like to color code them. Again, if you're not new here, you know that I love color coding all of the things. Just makes life easier. When I see a purple form come back, I'm like, oh, the gen ed teacher, somebody gave me input for an IEP. And so this is the gen ed form. This is the parent questionnaire. This is the para questionnaire. And then these are the student questionnaires, and depending upon the student and the student's ability level will depend. It's the same exact thing, except one is going to be a verbal response and one is going to be, I don't have the cards printed, but there's 3 different smiley faces, and so I will show the 3 smiley faces, ask the student the question, and they will point to or hand me the card that is their response for that question. And then I will put all of this information in the present levels of the student's next IEP, and according to the IEP writing timeline, I am sending these out 30 days in advance, and then I like to have them back within 2 weeks. I say 2 weeks because I like to be able to send them everyone a gentle nudge if I haven't gotten them back in about a week. And then a couple of days before the 2-week deadline, if I still haven't gotten them back, I can give them a little more urgent of a gentler nudge, and then just making sure that I get them back so I can put that input into the IEP. So that is the second thing that I want to share with you. The third thing I want to share with you that is a paid resource is your data forms. And so that can look very many different ways. And so I've linked the printable data forms, which are all editable, so you can change them. There's over 175 in that bundle that I've linked. And then you have the digital Google form versions of those data sheets, but I think there's, I'm not going to say number because I forget how many are in that bundle, but there are a bunch in that bundle as well. And so whichever way you choose to get things set up for data Our training next week, next Wednesday, July 31st at 2 p.m. Central Time, is all about data collection. So we will go into that more, but you want to make sure that at the beginning of the school year, you have all of your data forms ready to go, whether it's digital or printable. Digital, you want to set up your Google Forms, you want to set up your Google folders, you want to make sure everything is where it needs to be, it's ready to be used, you got your QR codes if that's what you're choosing to do. Again, we'll go over all of that next week. Or if you have your printable forms, you want to make sure that you have them all printed out. Again, I keep all of my original files here in my IEP binder. I have them separated out by different sections, and so I'll put them in here. But then if the ones that I know that I'm going to use either every day, every week, or every month, I have, and this is in the organizational binder system. We also talked about the 3 binders that you're going to need. So that's also here on the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, here in the Facebook group, about this just general binder. It's nothing that's super fancy. I just have a 1-inch binder, and I just made this cover for it. Like, even the spine's not that cute. I have page protector sleeves, and I throw a couple copies or a bunch of copies, depending upon how many I'm going to be using, into a binder sleeve, so that way when I have to go grab one of these data sheets, I can just whip one out and it's ready to go. So I prep this at the beginning of the school year as well. Inclusion data sheets, charts with calendars, because you can use blank calendars for so many different data collection methods. Daily toileting, weekly progress monitoring, following simple commands, so following directions, daily prompts, so many different things. And so this is really easy to set up. It's just either printing or making copies of your printable data sheets so that everything's ready to go and you don't have to worry about making more copies every week or whatever that may be. So that's another option for you as well. Your data forms and how you collect data is going to vary depending upon the school year, depending upon your caseload, depending upon your classroom setting, what you prefer, what works best for certain goals over other goals. And so just be flexible, take all the information in. Again, next week we're going to do that training on data collection. So make sure that you're here live inside the Mrs. D's VIPs Facebook group. But if you are watching a replay and it's past July 31st of 2024, you can search the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, or the Facebook group for that training itself on data collection. The last thing I want to share with you is the Intentional IEP book. And so this is a paid resource. It's but it is the book that I wrote last year. It was published in January of 2024 this year. And so this is just a great resource for IEP teams to have, for you to have, to learn more about the IEP process, but doing so in a collaborative manner. You're going to find the IEP Writing Timeline in here. You're going to find a whole chapter on data collection. You're going to find the IEP checklist written out here in just, I don't want to say word vomit, but in such more precise wording than just a checklist. So I go through everything here. It's great for parents. It's great for teachers, because we are working together and we need to work together to write IEPs, because IEP writing is not and should not be an island of one. Special education teachers, I'm talking to you, but I've also been there. So if you are interested in learning more about writing IEPs in a collaborative manner, or want to do a book study with your team, or have questions about collaborative IEP writing, this book is your new best friend. It's also available in an audiobook. So if you click the link, it's going to take you to a page on the website, and then you can purchase it at any major retailer. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, BAM Books, Target and Walmart also sell it. So you can definitely check that out. Those are all of the paid resources. So there are some other things that I want to mention to you as well. So there's a post here in the Facebook group. If you're watching live after this, you're going to want to click that link. And so I asked a question here in the Facebook group. Once you get your caseload for the school year, what are some things that you do to set yourself up for success for the rest of the school year? And so there's almost 200 comments on that post, with teachers just responding to one another and sharing what they do. And so I linked that here because I think that's a really important post for everyone to just see and get ideas, and to not forget like the nitty-gritty little things that were like, oh my gosh, I would have forgotten to do that. Thank you for reminding me. I linked that here. If you're watching the replay, you can go check it out anytime inside the Mrs. D's VIPs Facebook group. Click the link, you can join the group. There's over 30,000, almost 40,000 of us here in this Facebook group, which is absolutely awesome. And so we are here to help everyone, but that post itself is a great place to start. The second link I have for you under other, so you're going to go free resources, paid resources that I've mentioned, and then this is where you're going to find all these other links. The first 2 weeks in a self-contained classroom, this also pertains to other classrooms as well. It just gives you an idea of what things you should be teaching the first 2 weeks of school. There's also a link within there that if you want the lesson plan. So to newsletter subscribers, and I don't have this linked, so check that blog post link and add your name to the newsletter. During the school year, I send out lesson plans that you could use or that you can use to give you inspiration for your lesson plan. So I send them out Wednesday nights, and they should be starting up, I think, in 3 or 4 weeks. And so you'll get those via email if you want to access those. The third blog post link, or the third link I have under other, is the IEP meeting tips and tricks. And so you're also going to find the link probably for the IEP Writing Timeline. You're also going to find the link for that IEP meeting checklist, but there's also a bunch of different things in there, things to do before the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting, and just general good practice, best practice for IEP meeting tips and tricks for special education teachers. So that is linked there. That is a blog post. Then the link number 4 is the IEP and lesson planner review video. So I didn't share that with you because it depends on how you best plan for your classroom. And if you're doing so digitally, you're not going to need a paper pencil kind of planner. And so I've linked that there if you want to check that out. It is our IEP lesson planner. It's a bestseller on Amazon every year. And so that is linked there for you as well if you want to check out that video. After that, we have our organization system with binders. I've mentioned that previously in this video, but that training, it's a YouTube video that's linked there for you. That's gonna walk you through the different binders that I have set up, binders that I use in my classroom, binders that are for me, binders that are for me and other staff, and then binders that are for me, other staff, and students to also take control over. And so I've shared all of that, walked you through all of the things, and so that is also shared in the links below this. It is a YouTube training. Or it's a training on YouTube, so it's free, but it's also on the Facebook page as well. Then the last link I've shared with you is what to do after you've collected your IEP goal data. And so that is one of the biggest things. So let's just say you have, and I just realized I forgot to share a free resource with you, so I'm gonna loop back and share that with you because I added it after I made this. What to do after you collect your IEP data. So one of the things that I know a lot of teachers struggle with, and I previously struggled with this before I figured it out for myself, was okay, I collected all of this IEP goal data, but what do I do with it now? Like, where does it go? And what do I do with it? And where do all these papers go that I collected all of this data with? And so that YouTube training, it's free, it's on YouTube, you can access it at any time. That is also linked for you there, what to do after you collect the data. And so that's just a really, it's a quick training, it's gonna walk you through all of the things, it's gonna share some other resources with you as well to help you manage the data after you've collected it. The one thing that I forgot to share with you, and I didn't grab it, let me grab it really quick, I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's linked under free resources. It is the data rings. And so what it looks like, it's an editable resource. You edit it in PowerPoint. You can probably throw it in the Google Drive and use Google Slides. Never tried that, so don't quote me on that. But these are the binder rings. This is, again, free resource. It's not for purchase, it's free. But you can download it on Teachers Pay Teachers. In our shop, it's linked under the free resources. It's number 5. I forgot because I didn't put it on this list. And so you put the student's name, you put the start date, the end date, and what you do is you edit this and one IEP goal gets put on each sheet. I started this with note cards and then I was like, this could be so much easier if I just made a template in PowerPoint. And so what you do is you have your student's goal at the top. I like to put what the topic is here. So English goal 1, and then this one's probably English goal 2, and then English goal 3. And then I will generally put like English goal 1, what is this one? Sorting pictures, rhyming pairs. So I would put like rhyming or word families. And then the second one is identify details from a story. So key details would be the second one. So that at visual look, I can go through these and say, okay, we're doing high frequency words. So I'm gonna flip right to this one so I don't have to read the goals each time. And so then I put the goal underneath that heading. You have all of these boxes here. You can edit it, add more boxes, take boxes away. And these are the months of the year. So January, February, March, April, May. In the link to the Teachers Pay Teachers free resource page there is a blog post linked. It will walk you through so much more than I'm gonna spit out right now for you about this, about how to use these. But basically you take all of your data and you stick it onto your binder rings. Again, you can edit them, make them fit your classroom needs. But then you put all of your data in here. That way when it comes to making your progress notes, it also reminds you to take data every week so that you don't forget to do that. Depending upon your district, they're gonna have a set number of data points they want per week, per month, per marking period. And so this helps you visually keep track of, I have data points for what's needed and what's necessary for my district's requirements. But you can then just take this instead of all of this, right? You just need this to write progress reports. And so it just makes everything a little bit simpler. If you're taking them home, I've done this. If you're writing your progress reports at home, been there, done that. Everybody's different. You do what works best for you. All you have to do is take this, because all of your data is already on this sheet. So as long as you keep up with putting everything in here, I had a system where I did it every Friday, and I would put all of my data in here every Friday after the students went home. That way I knew starting for the next week, everything was ready to go. So this is a free resource. Again, check the links. It's number 5 under free resources. In that product description for this free resource, there is a link to a blog post which will explain this much, much better than I just did. So if you want more information on it, definitely check that out. That's there for you as well. All right, now is the time for the live Q&A. I'm gonna go through the comments really quick. I can kind of see them from here, but if there's no questions, throw your questions in the comments section right now. I'll answer them live. If not, if you're watching the replay and you have questions, throw them in the comment section and I will come back periodically to answer any questions you do have. If you would rather email me, you can email me at support@mrsdscorner.com. I'll answer any questions that you have in relation to pretty much anything. So it doesn't just have to be IEP related. But hello, Becky, welcome. Hi, Britta, good to see you again. Hey, Kate, so glad that you're here as well. I'm glad this was helpful. I don't see any questions, but I'm so happy that all of you are here. I hope that these free resources were helpful for you. I hope the paid resources were also helpful, and that the other resources, the other videos, the other blog posts that I've shared with you for IEP resource have really helped you. If nothing, if you take nothing away from this free training, again, don't forget to download the IEP Writing Timeline, and then definitely go under the other section, the first one that is the Facebook post. Go check that out here in the Facebook group, because it's full of great information from other teachers just like you. So I will see y'all in the next training. Again, next week we're going to be talking all about data collection. So until then, sit tight. I've got you. Any questions you want me to answer about data collection, send me an email. I will be gladly happy to answer them for you. And I'm gonna have to go around my table now to turn this off. But so happy to see y'all here. I will see y'all next week.